Welcome to the fourth episode of the Make Your Destiny Happen Petite Podcast. I'm Donzo Leggett, principal of Destiny Development Delta LLC, a U.S.-based international consultancy focused on executive leadership development and helping you make your destiny happen. In episode 1, I introduced the A attitudes of leadership and mentioned how I'd bring them to life with examples in the form of lessons from the chief. In episode 2, I explained the foundational tier of authenticity and assuredness. In episode 3, I explained the intrapersonal tier of accountability and action. Now I'll continue to explain the A attitudes of leadership, moving on to the interpersonal tier of accessibility and adoration. Now, accessibility is defined as being reachable, being approachable. But truly accessible leaders don't wait for people to approach them. They proactively go to the people to demonstrate their openness, and especially to the ones who need it most. Adoration is defined as love and respect for others. And as with accessibility, the best leaders go out of their way to show adoration to those who need it most. Now, my dad cherished family and he cherished friendships. One of the main things people remember most about him was that he was always there for his family and for his friends. My dad, again, he was not a guy that spoke a lot, but he was always there. He was the friend that all the other friends knew they could count on. As I mentioned in episode 2, he was very committed to his work and taking care of his family, but he still prioritized spending time with his friends. As I said, my dad, again, didn't talk a lot. I continue to bring that up because that was him. And so most of the lessons I had to learn from him were unspoken. They were observed, not direct. But there was one time that my dad actually did give me spoken advice direct to me. And this one time that he gave me advice is about friendships. One day, I remember I was about 17 years old, preparing to leave my hometown of Key West, Florida, and go to Purdue University to study there and to play college football. And I remember my dad was driving me back from somewhere, and we stopped at a red light. And he turned and looked at me, which was odd. And then he started talking, which was very different. And he said, "I know you're leaving soon, and a lot's going to change. But don't forget your friends, especially your cousins, who've been with you ever since y'all were small. They've always been with you. Don't forget them." That's the only time that I can ever remember my dad giving me specific advice, telling it to me. But there was another lesson from my dad that I was told, but not from him. One of my best friends told me about the accessibility and adoration that my dad showed to him and other kids. Now, these kids, especially the ones that my friend was talking about, grew up in a tougher part of our island, under tougher circumstances. And many of them, family, their fathers weren't around. My friend actually was one of them. He grew up without a dad. And he told me that my dad would give him and all the other kids advice. He'd talk to them, try to help them with their problems, and give them encouragement. I was shocked, to say the least, because my dad didn't talk, like I said, much, certainly at home. He didn't give me advice except that one time. I don't ever remember my dad ask me about my problems. I don't remember that ever happening. So it was hard, if not impossible, for me to believe. But just a couple months after that, we had a graduation party, high school grad party for my oldest daughter. And my dad and my best friend were both there. And at one point during the evening, they both kind of were gone. I couldn't find them. I looked around and finally I said, you know what, maybe they're in the basement at my bar. Had a bar downstairs. I went down there and there they were, just sitting, talking and having a conversation. When I went up and told everybody in the family, they were just as shocked as I was. My dad did not have conversations from our standpoint. You could try to have a conversation with him, but his responses are going to be pretty much 1 or 2 words, no matter how much you tried. But it was true what my friend said. My dad went out of his way to be accessible, to show adoration to those kids who needed it most, and even now when they were adults. My friend was right. My dad really did role model accessibility and adoration. I can't wait for episode 5 to share the final set of lessons from the Chief. But in the interim, remember to visit our website at www.destinydevdelta.com to learn more about us, sign up to become an insider, and be among the first to be notified when my book is out and available to order. And to get your copy personally signed by me. Once again, thanks for joining this episode of the Make Your Destiny Happen Petite Podcast, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, the last episode of season 1. Until then, remember, you are the leader of your life, and you have the power to make your destiny happen.